Hello and welcome everyone to the top 10 TVC Most Wanted. We've done the prequels. We've now done episodes 4 and 5. You can go back and check those out in our playlist. But now it's time for us to look at our top 10 Most Wanted TVC from Return of the Jedi. Now, the big TVC collector over there, if you don't know, is Martin, and these are all his top 10 picks. The only rule we've given him is that he can't pick one that's already been produced in TVC, even if the figure needs an update. And he can't pick any of the original 96, as we expect to get those at some point. So with that said, Martin, let's let people in on a little secret, shall we?
Okay, I'm what?
You send me over your list so that I can sort of prepare myself for it. One of them in this list, Martin, was a certain Sim Alu. Is that correct?
Oh God, you're going to bring this up, are you?
I had to. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just want to say it took me to notice this, bearing in mind I'm not a TVC collector. I'm quite new to the collecting game. And I said, isn't that the Imperial Dignitary, Martin, from the original 96?
I can't believe
Sorry,
I did.
It had to be said.
That's fair. That's fair. I think it was because it was Imperial Dignitary and not Simalu that threw me off. But yeah, you're 100% right. I can't believe I picked one of the original 96.
There's two rules and he broke one of them already. Come on in. Yeah. Right. Well, since then he's actually removed that from the list because it's against the rules. So let's crack on with number 10 for Return of the Jedi.
Okay, number 10 we're starting with Ula, Jabba's dancer or slave dancer that he has, who comes to a very bad end with the Rancor monster in Jabba's palace. Twi'lek, absolutely. Yeah. This is one they're never ever going to make, ever. I can't imagine them ever making this, to be honest with you. But it's one I would really, really love. I think the card back will look awesome. We don't have enough Twi'leks, do we, really? In the line that I can think of, really, there's that many at all. So, and you know, she's classic. You know, you think of Return of the Jedi and you think of Jabba's palace, you think of that scene. So yeah, number 10, Ula.
Fair enough, great scene. Moving on then, number 9.
Okay, number 9. I've gone for another Jabba's palace. But this is this is from the special edition. This is one of her dancers, and it's Ristal. And she's a Thelin. We saw her species in the Acolyte. Sorry, she was the same species as the young apprentice girl who got stabbed 3 times by the stranger. Not that we like to talk about that show too much, but yeah, that's that species. And she was one of the 3 dancers that Jabba had in his palace from the special edition. I think I love the alien type. We've seen that again in Skeleton Crew, one of those aliens. So yeah, number 9, Ristal.
Fair enough. Yep, can't really remember that one, but yeah. Number 8 then.
Okay, number 8 is now he's not named in the film, but his name is Horton Salm. Now he's Grey Leader. He's one of the pilots of the A-Wing, who's obviously on the Attack of the Death Star 2. You know, he has a couple of lines in the film when, you know, during the battle, but yeah, we haven't had an A-Wing pilot in the vintage collection yet, so yeah, it'd be great to see one of those in there. But I know that's an original 96 figure before you start having a go at me.
Yeah,
but it's not a named character, so I'm having that.
Okay, fair enough. Number 7.
Okay, number 7, another of Jabba's entourage, and I'm not quite sure how they're going to do this figure, and it'd be quite a controversial choice, this, but I've gone for Yana Dal Gargan, who's the 6-breasted alien dancer in Jabba's palace. Hopefully we can find an image to put on a card back for this one, because it's very difficult to get a clear image. But yeah, it's a hilarious character that's come to the fore more recently than it did back in the past. I think there's certain people in the community we know who bring that character up quite a bit, and yeah, I would really like to see this on a vintage collection card. I'm not quite sure how they do the figure, or if they would even do the figure, but yeah, number 7, Yana Dal Gargan.
Well, I'm sure that figure's been made already in a different line, hasn't it? So
Yeah,
they'll go back to that, I'm sure, and
possibly,
think about it
possibly.
potentially. Right, number 6 then.
Okay, number 6, 5, and 4 are kind of related. Just to pre-warn everybody, but I haven't cheated because I do really want all 3 of these characters. Number 6, I've gone for Obi-Wan Kenobi, but the spirit Obi-Wan Kenobi we see at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got to have those. We've had them in the Black Series now, and they look awesome. And you could even use the same card back images for those. Yeah, I'd love this set of the 3 of these. So with that, I think we're going to probably give away number 5.
Yeah, let's move on to number 5 then.
Yeah, number 5 is obviously going to be Yoda, but as a
Okay.
spirit, a Jedi spirit, or Force Ghost, whichever way you want to call it. So yeah, again, if you have Yoda and you have Obi-Wan, that means quite obviously you've got to have number 4,
Number 4.
which is going to be Anakin Skywalker
Yeah.
as a Force Ghost. Now, I've thought ahead because there's certain people in the fandom who prefer Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, me, and there's certain
Yeah.
people in the fandom who prefer Sebastian Shaw as Anakin Skywalker from the original cut of the films. So why not? And I've heard this mentioned before by other people, put interchangeable heads in there so you can choose which one you want it to be.
Yeah.
But I think for the sake of canon, on the card back, it would have to be Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker because that is the definitive canon now that he is the Force Ghost at the end of the films.
Yeah.
You can't argue with canon, so that's
Nothing to
what the
do
card
with
back.
you being favoriting that one, but no,
No,
okay.
not
Fair
at all. No,
enough.
it's totally to do canon. But just imagine those 3 figures.
Yeah.
For on Return of the Jedi cards, they just would look great on display. Not only out of the packs, on display as loose figures, but also on card backs on a shelf. Wow! I'd
Yeah.
love to have those 3. So I think we even mentioned that to Steve Evans, didn't we, when we met him? I'm sure we mentioned
Quite
these.
possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think we
think you
did.
said
Yeah.
that you picked them up in Black Series and
Mm.
loved them. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than likely.
Fingers
Right,
crossed.
well, normally we'd take a little stop at number 5 to sort of see how people enjoyed their first 5. So, let us know in the comments how you've enjoyed the list so far. Who's your choice, Sebastian Shaw or Hayden Christensen for the Anakin Spirit Ghost at the end? Right, let's move on then. Top 3. Who is number 3?
Okay, number 3, I have gone for Mon Mothma. Criminal that this figure wasn't ever made back in the Kenner days. Obviously, we've had many iterations of her before in other lines of Hasbro figures. We still haven't even had the younger version of her from Andor yet.
No.
So you never know. By the time this episode airs, or just after this episode airs, that Hasbro will announce an Andor Mon Mothma. But this is Return the Jedi Mon Mothma. So I think this came out on a retro collection card back a few years back. And the image, was fantastic. It was that image of her looking over the table. Many Bothans died to bring us this information. So this needs to come out on a vintage collection card. So yeah, number 3, I've gone for Mon Mothma.
That one has to be in the works, surely.
Mm.
Number 2 then.
Okay, number 2, I've gone for a Jabba's alien from the palace, and I've gone for this is a really great looking alien, and we've seen him several times in other media over the last few years, and it's great to see him, his species make a comeback. But this would have been the first appearance of this alien, and it is Shassa Teal, and he is an Ishi-Tib that you see in Jabba's palace. So I mean, we've had him in many other lines, or a few lines, I should say, back in the day. But we're still waiting for a vintage collection card with him on. And I have to say, Hasbro have done a pretty good job with the vintage collection with Jabba's palace goons and all the characters that he has in the palace. When I was putting this list together, I have to say there was quite a lot of Jabba's characters that came up on the lists as I was going through them. I was like, oh, we've got him, we've got him, we've got him. So they've done really well, but I think Ishi Tib, I should say, is a glaring error that they need to correct to get to finish off that run of Jabba's Palace goons. So yeah, so number 2, I've gone for Shasa Teal, who's the Ishi Tib.
Fair enough. That's pretty good. But now, the big one, the one we've all been waiting for. What is your number 1 top pick for Return of the Jedi?
Okay, number 1, I have gone for Princess Leia in her Ewok village dress. It's that amazing outfit she wears when she's with the Ewoks. Where it came from, I don't know. No one can tell you. But she all of a sudden happened to have this dress that the Ewoks had made. And yeah, she looks stunning in it. The dress looks stunning. The card back would look absolutely great if they chose the right image for this. It's the first time we've really seen Princess Leia with her hair right down, so I don't know how they managed to do that on the figure, but it would be a great little tooling challenge for them, because they'd have to make it look pretty good. But yeah, this is a figure I've always wanted, and I'm not an expert on some of the earlier lines of Star Wars, Hasbro Star Wars lines, but I can't right now think of a time that this figure's been released. Please, someone put in the comments if they have released this figure before, but I just can't in my mind think of a time they have released it. So I think this would be a great TVC card back, and that's why I've chosen it. Number 1, Princess Leia in her Ewok village dress.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
you don't seem too plus for that one.
Well, no, it's normally about this time that I make my own pick, and I pick something from your top 10, and I'm having a really hard time doing so. I'm looking up and down your list. I think I'm going to go with Mon Mothma as my pick. So, but as always, we also pick a bonus vehicle for the guys over at Hasbro to make for you. So what's it going to be?
Well, I think this one would end up having to be HasLab, unfortunately, because it would have to be so large. But I can't not choose it anyway. It's the Imperial Shuttle, also known as the Tidarian Shuttle. So yeah, I mean, the most iconic ship and probably my most favorite ship in Star Wars. I love the Imperial Shuttle. It's absolutely amazing. I'd love them to make this a HasLab one day. I would definitely get one to open as well. And you know me, I don't open things like that. And but this would be an opener all the way. I would love this vehicle. So yeah, my vehicle pick is the Imperial Shuttle.
Yes, I'm actually quite on board with that. I would have to say that's one of my favourite shuttles in Star Wars as well. It's just an iconic one, isn't it? And it's brilliant. Yeah. So that's it then. Do you agree with Martin's picks? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what your number 1 pick is for Return of the Jedi, and make sure you put a like on the video down there as well. Now, we've done the prequels. We've just finished the original trilogy, so naturally we'll be back next week with our Rogue One top 10. But sequel fans, don't worry, we'll be doing those later in the series, so subscribe so you don't miss that. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time. Bye.